About the author, Wilbert Vere Awdry was born on June 15th, 1911, the son of the Reverend Vere Awdry, the vicar of Ampfield near Romsey in Hampshire. From the first, young Wilbert had a passion for steam engines. He loved to meet and chat with the local railwaymen, to play with the model railway his father had built in the garden, and to pore over his father's copies of the railway magazine. When Wilbert's brother George was born, the Awdrys moved to Box in Wiltshire, near the Great Western Railway's main line from Paddington to Bristol. Lying in bed as a child, I would hear a heavy goods train coming in and stopping at a box station. And then the three whistles, crowing from a banker, a tank engine, which would come out of his little shed to help the goods train up the gradient. There was no doubt in my mind the steam engines all had definite personalities. Definite personalities. I would hear them snorting up the grade, and little imagination was needed to hear in the puffings and paintings of the two engines the conversation they were having with the one and another. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Wilbert went to Dauncey School in Wiltshire and then to Oxford. When he left Oxford, he taught at St. George's School in Salem, where he met his future wife, Margaret Emily Whale. Returning to England in 1936, he was ordained deacon at Winchester Cathedral and became a curate at Oldham in Hampshire. 2 years later, he married Margaret and in 1940, their first child, Christopher, was born, followed by two daughters, Veronica in 1943 and Hilary in 1946. When Christopher was 2, he was confined to bed with measles. Wilbur entertained him with a story about a little engine who was sad. His name was Edward. Christopher loved to hear the story of Edward again and again, and eventually his father wrote it down and illustrated it with a simple line drawings. Stories about Gordon and Henry followed, and Margaret encouraged Wilbur to send the books to a publisher. The Three Railway Engines was first published by Edmund Ward in 1945, and the following year, the most famous of all Wilbur and Awdry's engine characters appeared in the Thomas the Tank Engine. From James the Red Engine in 1948, Awdry published a new railway series title every year until his last book, Tramway Engines, in 1972. From the publication and success of the very first book, it was obvious that Wilbur had created a wonderful new world for children to explore. This world, in its fictional setting of the island of Sodor, situated between the British mainland and the Isle of Man, Wilbur created with his brother George. Together, they devised its people, engines, history, and geography, as well as being a full-time clergyman and dreaming up and writing his railway series. Wilbert Awdry also campaigned for the preservation of various steam railways. He's built model railway layouts and took railway excursions at home and abroad. In 1965, he retired and moved with his wife to Stroud in Gloucestershire. I think that's what it is. In recognition of his services to children's literature, Wilbur was awarded an OBE in 1996, New Year's Honors List. Wilbur died peacefully at home in 1997 at age 85. Although he wrote his last book in the series in 1972, Awdry's creation lives on. In 1983, his son Christopher published Really Useful Engines, the first in his own series about Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends.